You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Ian, look at this.
What, it's a police box. What on earth is he doing here? I mean, these things are usually on the street. Oh, feel it. Feel it, you feel it?
It's a faint vibration.
It's alive.
Earth Station Who, a fun mashup celebrating nearly 50 years of Doctor Who universe. Hold tight. You never know where the TARDIS is going next.
Who are you?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that again. Bit of adrenaline, dash of outrage, and a hint of panic knitted my brain back together. I know exactly who I am. I'm the Doctor. Sorting out fair play throughout the universe. Now please, get off this planet while you still have a choice.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Earth Station Who. We are here. Finally, we're back. And, you know, we go away for a couple weeks and then everything hits. Of course, isn't that always the way? We decided to take a little time off, you know, for some personal things and just to relax and, you know, have our fall break, as like some people like to call. And finally, we have Doctor Who news to talk all about it. And we got a great crew here to talk about it. Of course, we have our regulars. First, we have the lovely and talented Mary Ogle.
Hi, everybody. It is great to be here.
How are you, Mary? You doing okay?
I'm doing pretty good. A bit of family stuff the last couple of weeks, which is why we're recording a little late. It's my fault, everybody. But I'm very happy to be here.
I could understand that. You know, like I always say, family comes first. And, you know, we were due a vacation, as we like to say.
That's true.
So it was cool. And, of course, the talented Mr. Mike Gordon.
Howdy.
How are you, Mr. Howdy?
I am just fine. Believe me, I'm perfectly available to work with both your schedules, as recording today proves.
Exactly. See? So, you know, we mix and match for everybody's schedules.
I just have no other life.
And that's my fault. No. You know, it's cool. And, you know, we know you're giving up some stuff going on and everything, and fitting us into your schedule is just a little perfect match for that. So it's good. We appreciate it, sir. And
I'm serious. I have no other life. I'm available whenever you guys are.
Okay. Okay. The next episode's recording 3 a.m. on.
I could be there. I'm usually up.
Yes, you're the one of us who usually.
So that's just fine with me.
You'll have to, you know, have me, you know, totally like up with coffee and, you know, like, Mike, wake up. What? Doctor Who, you know, usually, but we can do it. I could see it happening. We actually have a guest with us from the Face the Music podcast and many other projects. Let's welcome Eric Wincentsen.
Glad to be here today.
Did I say it right?
Yes, you did.
Oh, God. Thank you. Folks, you don't have to drink at home. It's awesome. So you want to tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. As he said, I'm a co-host on the Face the Music podcast, which is an ELO song-by-song podcast that's headed up by Eric Paul Johnson. On my own, I do a radio show every Sunday at 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time on maxradio.ca called Vinyl Casserole. Have a movie blog called Expelled Gray Matter. And, well, I collect a lot of records and do some photography on the side. And I'm a big, huge Doctor Who fan going back about 40 years.
Wow. So you're our age. Got it. Totally
Yes.
makes our sense. And so we asked you here, and actually we said, you know, Eric, pick one of your favorite episodes, and you picked the Web Planet of all episodes.
Yes.
At least it wasn't the Gunslinger. That's all we have to say.
I cannot see that being anybody's favorite episode.
No, it was an interesting first Doctor story. It was my first time actually seeing this one. So it's going to be a lot of fun to talk about. But, you know, we definitely want to hear from you folks at home also. So please write us at earthstationwho@esonetwork.com. Have you guys liked this one? Have you seen it before? What are your thoughts on this one? We're going to talk about in a few minutes the announcement that Doctor Who is definitely coming back as the first of the year. So we actually have a new trailer And we have a couple of other things we're going to talk about in the news. So what are you guys' thoughts on Doctor Who finally coming back? And that also has to make, us check out, change our schedule fully for the podcast, of course. So
I don't know why they didn't consult us first.
yeah, I know.
Really?
BBC, geez. Don't you know to talk to your favorite Doctor Who podcast?
Yeah. Well, my first response was, yay!
Well, we might as well dive in for both feet then. So, Mary's first reaction was yay. Mikey, what about you?
Sure. I haven't. That's cool, man. I haven't seen anything official, so that's good. I didn't know that they were coming back so soon. It just all I knew was early 2020. I didn't know it was that early 2020.
Well, isn't that a rumor? There's a rumor that it's going to come back on the 1st January.
It hasn't been official, but they're saying they're saying they're doing it as a New Year's special and then going from that point on. So, hold that thought. You're saying it.
Who's saying that? I thought we didn't talk about rumors on this show.
We always talk about rumors on this show. We officially say
we don't until we do.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, and I'm not even going to say we have a source inside the BBC because we don't. We do not. So we'll wait and see. But I was so thrilled to see the trailer. Hell, I don't care if it comes out in February. I'd still be happy with what I saw. I was really impressed. Eric, what about you?
Well, I'm looking forward to it because I haven't seen the last 2 or 3 episodes of season 11. And as soon as that comes out, Amazon should make those free finally. And
they're not available for streaming yet on there?
They're on there, but you still have to pay for them. You still have to rent them.
Really? Oh, wow. So it's not Amazon Prime ready.
Yep. So I'm looking forward to the new season. The new season looks like she might be fitting in a little bit better than she did. Not the first season jitters that most of the Doctor actors have had. And so it looks like it's going to be really good.
Cool. So you haven't seen also the New Year's special from earlier this year?
No, I didn't see the New Year's special, and I think the last one I saw was the one with the witch trials.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
That's before BBC America decided that they were going to take themselves off of the package I have with Dish America. Dish Network. Yeah.
Oh.
That really sucks.
Yeah.
That is, yeah.
Oh, man. I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, so we won't be talking about, how it got so... I thought it got better for the New Year's special. I thought she felt more comfortable, and I thought the writing and the story actually got better.
Oh, I absolutely agree. The New Year's special was a step up.
Yeah, most definitely, especially after the end of the season. Whew, there were some really bad ones there.
There was some rough stuff in there.
And that's what you have to look forward to, Eric.
Oh, wonderful! Because I actually like the whole witch trial one.
It was good. Oh, that was awesome.
So I was hoping that at that point it would be the same quality as that, but yeah. First season for Doctors, unless it's Tennant or somebody like that, it's usually not too good. It's up and down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to be curious maybe next time you come on to give us your feelings, because hopefully by then you'll be able to see the end of the season and the New Year's special.
Yeah, I'm hoping so.
I hope so too. Because I know they also announced that, of course, season 13 and 14 has officially been announced. And they did say Chibnall is going to be back for at least for 13. And so that also means that Jodie will be back. So they said in that interview with Chris, and that they're already starting to work on 13. So hopefully we won't have to wait as long for Dr.
That would be nice. That would be a nice change. But the trailer was pretty exciting. I mean, it made me look forward to the next season, that's for sure.
Okay, we've all seen it, right? So we could talk about what we saw.
Yes.
Okay. All right. It was awesome seeing the Cybermen. It was awesome seeing the Jadoon, but also you got to see that spider woman from the Runaway Bride story. So it was just like, oh, okay, this is cool. So, and I loved seeing, was that supposed to be Matt Smith's costumes that she was in with the bow tie and the jacket?
Yeah, I mean, it looked very Matt Smithish, but I'm not sure it was really supposed to be his costume.
Okay.
I just thought it was a tux. I didn't see that it was
Yeah, I
anybody's
think
tux in particular. Look, I mean, 9 times out of 10 when Graham's on the screen, I'm not looking at anything else.
We know you have your obsession with Graham. It's okay.
And seeing Graham in a tux, I'm like, yeah, there's anybody else on the screen? I don't see it.
Okay, does anyone have 5 minutes and 51 seconds into the recording that we've mentioned Graham's name?
Hey, you start talking about the new Doctor Who, the 13th Doctor, you got to talk about Graham.
His light just overshines everyone.
He's a beacon of hope to everyone.
To a tired world.
Exactly. What would the show be without Graham?
We'll never find out.
Wow. Wow, we really went down at that time.
I know, Eric either thinks we are absolutely insane,
Well, yeah, if he's your favorite companion at the moment, I can actually kind of pretty much agree. Him and his adopted son are pretty much. The other ones seem to be more hangers on. So
there's other companions. What? I can't understand what you're saying, Eric. There's Graham, and there's someone trying to be the Doctor, and I don't know what else is on there.
There's some policewoman.
Oh
yeah.
Oh Yaz, that's right.
Actually, my sister commented that even in the trailer, you don't see Yasmin very much.
No, you don't. I was wondering if they write her off or something.
And the only time you do see her, she's crying, which I
right,
guess that's understandable, right?
Yeah, when you don't get when you give her when you don't give her much to say or much to do. Well, even though they gave her an episode, which actually was one of the better episodes there.
Yeah, well, they gave her an episode about her family, but even in that one, she didn't feature as much as she probably should have.
Yeah,
True.
I know. Good point. I hope, Bradley Walsh is great. I love him as, the companion, but I don't think he should be the focus. I think they really need to step it up. And they did a little bit in the New Year's special, especially, because they focused a little more on his stepson's or step-grandson, his father issue and such. So you didn't hear that, Eric. You don't know what that we're talking about, so don't worry.
Yeah, but I mean, Ryan does get a little more screen time later. Poor Yasmin just never gets much of anything.
No, so I mean, obviously the trailer doesn't, and it won't, tell us whether or not that the writing's better or the distribution of characters, companions is better. And that's, I think what we're all hoping for. I mean, I don't think any of us have a problem with the cast per se. The fact that Jodie's coming back, that's great. The fact that Chris is coming back, the jury's still out. We'll see how his second series does. And whether it's more the same or whether he adjusts accordingly.
Nope, agreed. And, hopefully he's learned from his first season and he's maybe listened to a little bit of the criticisms and such.
I liked where he was going in the New Year's special.
I agree. I agree.
I hope that's indicative of what we're going to get in the next season.
Yeah, I like the New Year's special, sure, but I'm not willing to say that that's a new direction because it's just one episode. So I just want to see what,
right.
and yeah. So I just hope that is more the same,
No, agreed. Well, here's hoping, as all we could say. And from seeing this trailer, it gave me a lot of hope. So,
yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was add all the elements that I look for in Doctor Who. I mean, a sense of adventure. Of course, the Doctor doing new things. I mean, she's in a tux in one scene. I think she's riding a motorcycle in another, right?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I mean, she's all been she's like an action hero now. So that's pretty cool.
The whole trailer was very action oriented.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, when it starts off, when she sort of has the James Bond line, the Doctor, I just thought that was, this was obviously letting us know that this season is, at least they're advertising it, all about a lot more action.
I hope so, because I think that's what was missing a lot last season.
And the other thing is that they've notified us that, hey, you're going to see some familiar faces. You're going to see some familiar races, so that's, if not characters, we're going to get some familiar foes of the past Doctors. So that's interesting. Mm-hmm. And of course, with the Cybermen coming back, in the New Year's special, with the Daleks coming back in the New Year's special, then there's only it's only a matter of time before the Cybermen return. So that's the next one up, right? And it looks like that. Yeah, that's not going to be a surprise.
Let's just hope there is not a cyber woman. Is it Tim Baldwin who wrote that?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
The return of the cyber woman. That's all. That's what. It's the revenge of the cyber woman.
Attack of the cyber woman.
Or cyber person, as Chibnall might write it in.
I think it'll be so interesting to see if that's going to be a sort of if it's his own take, because it really looks a lot like the Cybermen from not the last time we saw them. It looks like the Cybermen from the last time Chibnall wrote them. That's what that cyber helmet kind of looked like to me. It's like, oh, are we going back to the other old Cybermen, or are we going to the creepy side? Are we still having the creepy Cybermen that we got, the last Capaldi story?
Yeah,
good question.
It didn't look like the creepy Cybermen.
No, not at all.
Like the robot Cybermen.
No, but these look kind of rusted and such, like kind of like, I hate to say it, world weary type thing.
Well, it looked like it was severely damaged.
Yeah.
So, that's why, I don't know. I mean, it looked cool. And I'm always up for good Cybermen stories. I mean, we've seen good ones and bad ones, so.
Sure. Nope, totally understand that. I think it'd be very interesting to see what happens in it. And, hopefully we'll know next time we talk to you, we might have a date, a true date, not a guess or not a rumor. How's that, Mikey?
That'd be fine with me. I mean, I mean, it is interesting. I mean, if Doctor Who is coming back so soon, it's just amazing to me how short notice that is for everything. I mean, it's only really about a month away.
Do you really want, 2 months, 6 months, hey, it's coming back then?
It's not about what I want.
So
it's about
eaters,
it has nothing to do with what I want. The BBC doesn't give me what I want all the time, ever.
Or ever.
Right,
yeah.
exactly. So it doesn't have anything to do with what I want. It's more like, I mean, to put this together properly, with Doctor Who kind of struggling as far as marketing wise, as far as branding goes, as far as getting the show kind of back on everybody's radar, sneaking it back with only weeks to go doesn't seem like a smart idea to me. People
they do that a lot, though. They wait till the very last minute to announce the date, and I've never understood why they do that.
Yeah, but this is even for the BBC. This is really last minute. It's only like I said, it's only 4 or 5 weeks away, and then not just a special, but the whole series to debut after that. That just seems like why keep it so close to the vest? I don't understand. Why not let us anticipate, build to it, so it's an event when it happens.
Oh, yeah. I do that. I agree with.
I agree too. Their marketing strategy is very strange.
I kind of think I know why they're doing it this way at this particular time. If you look on YouTube and you look at a lot of fan sites, you've got a lot of people still screaming about it being a woman. And they were really negative on the last season, and I think that's what BBC's afraid of, is that almost anything they do, if they don't get it out quickly, that there's going to be this whole trail of negativity that might bring people down or cause people not to tune into the show.
Nope, exactly.
If that's true, Eric, and that's valid, but if that's true, it just shows how cowardly they are, really, I think.
Yeah, actually, I don't think that's a valid reason at all.
I mean, it may be the reason.
Or not, but it's not it's cowardly.
Right.
Well,
I didn't say it was a valid reason, just that it might be it might
absolutely.
be a reason.
No, absolutely. And if they're really just trying to slide this under the radar, so they hope that people don't get upset. I mean, that's I don't think that's how you should treat one of your all-time biggest franchises.
Yeah. My attitude is give us some good writing, give us some good episodes, and nobody's going to care.
Yeah.
Nope, exactly.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I'm very curious to see, does BBC do this with other programs also, just very short term? Like, hey, we're going to have this out in a month and a half, basically. And, this program's coming up. This is, because I know, like with War of the Worlds, all they said was coming in the fall, that type of thing. Or, Downton Abbey coming soon, type thing. They don't have sometimes exact dates. So I'm curious to see, is this typical for Doctor Who, or is it typical for BBC, or is this just special because how much controversy Doctor Who got last season? So I'd be very curious to see that.
That's a good question. Yeah, maybe we should ask Robert or something.
I think from what I understand, it is kind of typical though, because the shows that you just mentioned, Mike, that's true, as well as other shows that I follow on that the BBC are involved with, like Peaky Blinders and all that. Like they don't announce, they don't give you a set date on when you can look forward to coming back. And furthermore, they don't even, once they will announce a date, they don't let you know right away how international viewers can watch it as well. So they make it really difficult to try to plan and watch these things and schedule things, which in this day and age is just antiquated. I think it's like, I don't think that behooves them very well. If they start blaming lack of ratings on this, that, and the other thing, they can just look at themselves in the mirror and say well, we're just not marketing it properly.
Well, exactly. And, how many people, even knew that they were doing a new season of Luther or something like that. And then all of a sudden coming in next month, Luther, it's like, what? Eldritch Elba back on TV? It's just craziness. So it's just not, I'm just curious how people react to that and stuff. United States here, in a lot of TV, we all know there's a Lord of the Rings show coming to Amazon next a year from now.
We know 2 years in
exactly. We know that, the next season of the Orville is coming next fall to, Hulu, type thing. So it's just all there.
Yeah, well, we knew there was going to be a new season of Doctor Who, so it wasn't like
we just didn't know when.
They just didn't know. Yeah, right. We just didn't know when in 2020 it would be. I mean, we kind of assumed it would be 2020, but then they didn't even want to tell us that. So, and I think that's another thing, because they don't have. It's the BBC, right? If it's an American channel, they have sponsors that they have to let know of. They have programmers and they have to sell their shows and all that that's the way all that works. Sure. So you get advance notice and it's planned out a lot more. The dates and all that are much more available for everybody to see. It's much more public. Whereas since the BBC is controlling everything, they don't have to tell us anything until all of a sudden. And it just, I mean, it's just one of those things that I think in this day and age, they're just not adapting to how people are viewing things. And granted, I'm coming from a stateside point of view, so maybe, in other countries it's a little different. But it just seems to me that if they want to capture this market and others, they should adapt to how things are going, as far as streaming and advance notice and binging and all that kind of stuff. They should take a look at a lot of that stuff and adapt.
No, I totally agree. And maybe they will, maybe they won't. We don't know. Another new Doctor Who related news. Did you guys watch the Children in Need special that they did? And Doctor Who made an amazing appearance there. That was
really sweet.
Oh, it was wonderful. And I loved it. There was no Graham.
Yeah, I didn't watch it because there was no Graham. I read about it afterwards, but yeah.
Yeah.
I figured it's not really Doctor Who if it's Graham, if there's no Graham.
It was awesome. The look on that little girl's face when the screen opened.
She was stunned.
Oh, it was awesome.
It was awesome.
Oh, it's like I almost was in tears like the first time I saw that. It was just because you felt it and the emotion was just wonderful with that. It was pretty darn awesome to see. So it was cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was awesome. If you get a chance, if you haven't seen it yet, it's up on YouTube everywhere. You can see like 14 different versions of it, like the full length, the backstage interview with Jodie before, the whole thing. It's just pretty cool to see. And if you get a chance, please do. So definitely look it up. So the other thing we're going to do a quick review for, something really interesting. Actually, Mike Gordon actually brought it to our attention. I didn't know anything about this, but I guess was it the drama department at this college? It was the University of Central Lancashire. They did Mission to the Unknown, which is the only single story Doctor Who episode of the whole single series to the Fifth Doctor.
Yeah, and it doesn't have a doctor in it or companions.
No.
A complete recreation. I mean, it was beautifully done. They went out of their way to try to make it as authentic as possible. I mean, using students as actors, but the sets, the costumes, the way
the Daleks were just awesome.
Yeah, everything was awesome. Nicholas Briggs did the voice of the Daleks. He got involved and helped them fund it. And it was a great project. I thought it was outstanding what they did.
Yeah, and to be fair, it was Mary that brought it to our attention. And I'm glad she did, because it was kind of, I think the BBC really kind of just said, okay, it's not an official thing, but I think it's available on the BBC or the Doctor Who official YouTube channel.
Yes, it is.
I think that's where we watched it, and they have. What's amazing to me about this too is not only the fact that they did this, because we've known people that have made Doctor Who fan films and all that kind of stuff, and it's not difficult to make Doctor Who shows, especially compared to what the. I think we'll talk a little bit about this when we talk about the web plan. But exactly with the technology at the time and all that stuff, it's not difficult now to meet those requirements, so to speak. But looking at the making of this, what I really appreciated was they were pretty honest and authentic with making it much like it would have been made originally in the 60s. So they did not shoot this over a course of like 3 months or even a month. They prepared for it. They rehearsed for it in a week. They did some special effects for it, and then they shot it like in one day in the studio, just like with multi-cameras, just like the BBC would have done at the time. And I thought that was really impressive, and that was really cool. I love the fact they did that.
You need to watch the making of video.
Yes.
After you watch it, you really do, because that's a great experience.
Absolutely. It's watch the recreation first, and usually with YouTube there's the link right to it. It just pops right. Mine did. It just popped right up. Like, you want to watch this right now? And I'm like, yes, please. And it's another 10 minutes or so, I think, but it's totally worth it.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting too, because in the episode, William Hartnell is still credited for the Doctor.
Wow, that's because he had to be.
Right. For the series. But it was interesting because this basically sets up the 12-part Dalek master plan.
Yeah, it's written by Terry Nation. It's the prequel. It's like just the episode before. And my understanding is the only reason that it was written this way is because the regulars needed a break for whatever it was, a week or two, just so they could get back on track. So
exactly, it totally makes sense, especially with what was coming. But that wasn't even the next. That was like 2 stories down. for Doctor Who, because the next story after this was the Mythmakers.
Mm.
And then after that is the Dalek Master Plan. So it's pretty amazing.
That's true. I mean, they just knew it ahead of time. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Eric.
Oh, I was going to say, I can't remember. Does this take place on the same forest planet as the existing footage from Dalek Master Plan?
I think so.
So in that particular case, they actually did a little bit better job with the foliage on the remake than they did with the paper trees over paper rolls or something, however they did those in Dalek Master Plan.
What was also amazing is in Dalek Master Plan, they had a whole set built for the Dalek scenes. But because they were using that for the full story, and they weren't the students were only shooting this little sequence for Mission Unknown, they did a miniature and they did models. And I swear when I was watching it, I had no idea it was models. And that blew me away when I found that out. That was so well executed.
It was awesome. It was just like you didn't know, and it looked great. These kids did a great job.
Yeah, same camera motions as you would get back from the 1960s versions, and I was wondering at some point if they were using the same, if they'd just gotten into their university archives and found a bunch of old video cameras from the time to do it. Because
I think in the behind the scenes they used newer cameras because they did shoot it in color. Then they just made it black and white, when they released it. So I think the cameras, from what I could understand, when I could see, the cameras seemed to be more modern, but the procedure of the way they did things was true to what the 60s would have done.
Definitely.
It definitely felt very comfortable, and it was pretty darn awesome. And, even the transformation from the human into the plant beast thing, it looked great. It felt very much like a 1960s Doctor Who.
It probably looked better than it did originally, though.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, okay, touche.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, Eric, go ahead.
I was going to say my only major nitpick with it is, unfortunately, they still contained all of Terry Nation's writing.
Yeah,
which is very close to Ed Wood in some cases, especially when it's a historic event in the history of the galaxy.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because all those aliens who were going to invade the Earth and work with the Daleks, it's they must have only been for that storyline and never seen again.
Yeah, I didn't know if those creatures, everybody who's around the table, I didn't recognize any of the races. But then again, I haven't seen a lot of the first Doctor stories. I mean, some I've seen, some I have yet to see, and some I can't see because it's impossible now. So I had no idea whether everybody around the table was already a known race.
Right. No, a lot of those you've never seen or heard of. It's just ooh, like that guy who looked like he had the moon on his face. And everything. And I've seen pictures from the original, and they got that pretty darn close.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, they did a good job with the costumes and the props.
Okay. Because there is also an animated version of this story too.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Gotcha. So, okay, so that's cool. I'll have to check that out. Is the master plan? Is that out? Is it available?
No. Most of that is missing.
Okay, so why did they animate this?
Because it was a one-parter.
Okay,
it was easier.
It's nice and easy.
Well, I noticed that
there was anybody imitate William Hartnell or anybody else in the main cast. So
I noticed that there wasn't. There's a Target book adaptation, and I'm like, really? Of just this? I'm like, man, they probably had to pad that out.
Oh yeah, most likely. So it was interesting, and I did I loved, because I've seen the animated version of this, and they brought it to life, and I love how they had the actor who played the lead in this story at the very beginning. like being the narrator, welcoming you to it.
Oh yeah. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
So,
but I wish we could see more recreations, because I actually think that was more fun than watching a lot of the animations, because a lot of the animations aren't that well done.
True.
That's true. Although, when you talk about live actors, I don't know that gets. I mean, you're just remaking past episodes, past stories. Then, and I don't know that. I'm not sure if
it's a missing.
Yeah, I don't know if that's as valuable. I mean, maybe if students are doing it, that's one thing. But I certainly don't see the BBC putting any money into that.
Oh no.
Oh God, no.
No.
Nope.
No, I was thinking more of like a student or fan run thing. Or maybe even a BBC sanctioned thing, but not. I mean, who knows? I'm not counting on seeing any more, but this one was awfully fun, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah, it was really cool.
It was. So bravo, guys! You guys did a great job. So I give it 5 TARDISes all the way.
Oh yeah, me too.
Me too.
It was definitely quite enjoyable, and I agree. It was better than a lot of the animated things that they do.
Oh yeah, I actually posted. You could see on so many different places. You could see stills from the original, so you could see what the original aliens looked like. And one of them looks like a giant, I hate to say it, black Christmas tree with little eyes at the top of it. And then the other one looked like the gorilla from what was it? The space gorilla from one of the Ed Wood movies, I think, or something with the helmet on top.
Oh, the robot guy.
Yeah. So yeah,
robot monster or something like that.
Exactly. So yeah, there was just, I think their budget was kind of low on this, even for the original.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like the budget was about 5 cents.
Exactly. Well, that's typical BBC, so we're good to go there. All right. We definitely would love to hear from you guys. Please write us at earthstationwho@esonetwork.com. Let us hear your thoughts on what we just talked about. Let's take a quick break, and we are going to be back, and we are going to talk all about the Web Planet.
Hey, Adam Thomas.
Yes, Thomas Mariani.
You know how there are podcasts about bad movies?
Yeah.
And also podcasts about good movies?
Yeah.
Well, what if a podcast could cover both?
What?
Listen to Double Edge Double Bill, where a random selected yin and yang of a double feature is picked and then picked apart.
Now, who came up with this wacky idea?
Adam, we did. That's our show.
I'm learning something new every day.
Listen to us on the ESO Network and wherever podcasts are available.
Welcome back to Earth Station Who. We are going back to February 13th, 1965. And we are going to see the first Doctor along with Barbara and Ian and Vicky. I think this was one of our first Vicky stories that we reviewed on the podcast.
It's the first time I've ever seen Vicky.
It's one of the few Vicky ones. Yeah, it's one of the first Vicky ones that's still around.
Because how long was, I don't know how long she was in the TARDIS for.
About a year.
Okay.
Yeah, about a year before I think they brought in Dodo and a few other people.
Right, because we saw when Dodo left, when we saw, which was it, Enemy of the World, was it? That one?
No, I think it was...
No, it was Dodo wasn't...
War Machine, that's right.
Yeah.
It was War Machine, because that also then introduced Polly. Yes, so definitely understand that. So, interesting story. I felt like I was watching a J.J. Abrams movie, and sometimes with all the blurring and the
Vaseline on the lens.
Vaseline on the lens. It was just like, whoa! It was hard to watch sometimes.
Yeah, was that because of the condition that it's in, or were they trying to do some fancy effect?
No, they were trying to do an effect.
They were doing effects because remember the doctor was saying because of the atmosphere, it might seem to your eyes that it's very blurry and such.
Yeah, well, it just seems so inconsistent. that and a lot of times interfering with the visuals that I thought it must have been done, just the bad condition of the print.
Nope.
Or not.
Nope.
Did it on purpose.
It was completely on purpose.
So that's as good as it's ever going to get.
That's it.
Right. There's mentions in it a number of times about, it actually figures in with the plot quite a bit in there in some cases too.
Mm-hmm. And the atmosphere, affecting the companions' breathing.
Oh, sure. No, I got that point. But I just, like I said, there was times when, there were times where they were in the caverns when it was happening. There were times when it was, it just was, all over the place.
No, totally understand.
And there were times when they were outside and it wasn't happening. So like I said, it was just inconsistent. So that's why I thought it was more of a condition rather than a effect. But well, good for them.
Exactly.
Look, I this is the first time I've seen it, and I do have to sort of credit them with. There is a wonderful British tradition of telling stories with costumes and puppets and pantomime, and I think all of that really comes into play with some of the things that they did here.
Oh, sure. No, I thought it was very interesting, and having the ants with human legs was pretty darn awesome.
I have to say, actually, for the time period, with that qualification, the production is actually pretty good.
I love the costume of the moth people. They were awesome
hard with the costumes and the sort of interpretive dance that the Manatra are doing, and the sets are very alien looking.
No, very much so, and I loved a lot of the different scenes and everything. Eric, why did you choose this one, though? Just curious.
The reason I chose it is because it is one of the most ambitious of the first Doctor episodes. I didn't choose it specifically because it's one of my favorites. I do like it. I'd say more of my favorites would be like the original Daleks or the Aztecs or something like that from that first couple of seasons there. But I chose this one because of how ambitious they were going. They decided to go with the budget they had and the conditions they had, basically rehearsing, doing everything one take. I think in a lot of cases they did this live to broadcast in some cases. And they decided to go with a situation where everybody except the main cast was alien. Alien planet, completely alien geography, no other really humanoid creatures to connect with. It was as if somebody tried to do say the Dark Crystal on $100 budget or something, where they did it with sock puppets. But the story is good. That's the whole thing that gets me is the story does still stand out. I think they stretch it out too long. I don't know if it needed to really be 6 episodes. It could have been a nice 3-episode story. Land, meet the different creatures, and then deal with the alien menace. It's rather simple when it gets to that. But the creatures themselves are rather interesting. They're given their own type of speech. They don't seem human at all in speech. That's one thing a lot of people complain about is all these aliens always knowing English. It's more obvious that the TARDIS is doing the translating because it's trying to keep up with whatever the speech patterns of all these different aliens have and not doing as great of a job as it normally does. It's just everything is so different. Especially those atmosphere effects do get way too much, but it just gives you this whole idea of you're not on Earth. You're not doing you're not doing one of the historic Doctor Who's. We're just going completely alien. We're taking what we did with the Daleks, except we're not putting in anybody human that you can actually identify with. And we're going to just go with this. And it actually ended up being the most watched Doctor Who episode of that year. I think there was 13 million viewers to that when it originally premiered.
Wow. That's pretty darn amazing.
And that's pretty much Britain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do really like the fact that, because you can kind of sense it too with the characters. They've been doing this for a year and a half, at least on screen. And there's this sort of sense that, there's no sense with Barbara and Ian anymore that they're surprised or shocked by things until we get to this. I mean, this opens with, Barbara's just kind of lounging around with like a thing of wine, just kind of wandering around going, oh yeah, the doctor's got this, no problem. And I think later on there's a sequence of dialogue where, Ian's gone off to find Barbara, and the doctor says to Vicky, like, oh, it's okay. He can handle this. He does this sort of thing all the time. Like they've already got into a routine. Whereas this Vortis planet really like throws them all for a loop. Like everything that you guys have been used to, everything that you guys have been doing, it's nothing like this that you've experienced. Nothing like this before.
No, that's a good way to put it. It's not like anything they've seen. And that, like Ian was about to drink from that little pond. And the doctor was like, wait.
Let me ruin your... Why is he wearing a tie for a belt anyway?
That was from the Romans. The Romans followed this.
Gotcha.
This follows directly off of the Romans.
Okay,
and so that was something that I think he had to replace a belt or something like that. It's been a while since I've seen it, but it featured in the plot in that series.
Yeah, it was interesting because they went from the Romans to this story, then to the Crusades. And it's like, okay, let's fit this between two historical stories.
Yeah, well, that's what they were doing at the time. They had to do the historical because it was a kids show, so they had to do the historic episodes so they could say that we're teaching something. So they decided that they were going to do historic and then plain sci-fi. That's why you got an unearthly child, then you got the Daleks, and you got Marco Polo.
No, that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
No, it is.
That's why I always understood.
Yeah, no, that's true.
No,
it is true. It is true. Yeah.
Okay.
No, we were agreeing with you, dude.
Oh, I thought you said none of that was true.
No. Oh, God,
okay.
No. Oh, no.
I was going to say that Wikipedia needs to really scrub some stuff on there.
No, it's absolutely what.
No, you're exactly right, because back then, Doctor Who was still considered a children's show that was supposed to do historical stories and teach kids about history.
And visually, you can see that that's true even with this story. I mean, visually, like I said, because they're using pantomime, they're using puppetry, the costumes, the choreography, the over acting in terms of the voice work and everything that they're doing, the effects. It's very much like an audio visual treat, especially for younger viewers, I would imagine. But story-wise, it's just as adult as any of the other stories that they were doing.
I mean, there is some horrific stuff in there, like pulling the wings off.
Exactly. There's a lot of characters that die.
Yeah, the one Optera dies being drowned in acid, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was horrific. Pain water, and and they just left her there, and she was like, and Ian like walked up to her. It was like, damn. It was just tough. There were some really tough scenes in this one.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, it always, whenever they called Doctor Who a children's show back then, children's show back for British kids was a lot different than children's show here.
Yeah, they did not sugarcoat it.
Yeah, because you weren't even allowed to punch somebody on children's shows in the States and the cartoons and all that kind of stuff. There was no violence or whatever. But back then, Britain, I mean, they had wars. People could die. That people were shooting each other. It was just, yeah.
Well, keep in mind, just 20 years before this was made, some of the parents and even maybe some of the older kids had actually experienced a lot of that for real life. So
true, that's true.
Oh, very much so. But if you think
not from more removed from World War II,
no, this is their generation from World War II, and conditions were still they were rebuilding society back then in the UK. And it was just tough, like when that moth woman sacrificed herself to the machine gun firing alien, you know, when she tried to get it under control.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it shot her as it was coming at her. And it was just like, damn. And they just left her right on top of it. Because she basically, when she fell on top of it, squished her. So it's just like, wow.
Yeah, it was pretty grim.
Oh, yeah.
In some areas. I mean, I kind of find this story very disjointed. And I think it's because it's a 6-parter. I mean, I agree with Eric. I think like a 3-parter would have been better. Because there's a lot of padding, there's a lot of jumping back and forth. Like there's different scenes going on concurrently all over the place. Mm-hmm. Everybody's doing, you know, Barbara's doing one thing, Ian's doing another thing, Vicky isn't doing much at all, and you know, the doctor's doing another thing. I will say Ian and Barbara are both pretty badass in this one, which I love. I mean, I really like Ian and Barbara. And I especially like them in the later ones. I mean, they do what they need to do. And
this is actually a little bit advanced for the time with Barbara, because at one point she was in the TARDIS saying, "I got to give this place a spring cleaning." 2 episodes later, or 2 or 3 episodes later, she's sitting there planning out a military attack.
Right.
with the Menoptera to try and improve on their actual invasion plans.
Mm-hmm.
No, exactly. And she was a very strong character in this. Once she left the TARDIS under hypnosis, being dragged by the bracelet, she was great in this. I really liked Barbara in this. She was really strong for most of it.
Well, like I said, just the attitude where, like, in the first 5 minutes where we see her come out of the TARDIS, she's holding a chalice of wine and she's just drinking it and just walking around. And I was like, wow, Barbara's like really accustomed to this.
Yeah, she's like, it's like, hey, dudes, what's happening?
I know. She's like, and like Vicky's freaking out because something, you know, the doctor is freaking out because they're getting pulled towards this planet or whatever. And she's just like, it's all right. Doctor's got this.
I did not like Vicky. I'm going to come out and say it at all. She didn't scream as much as Susan did, but, you know, I just didn't like her character. She was just like, you know, she tried coming across as like a know-it-all about the aspirin. Oh, when I was in school, we had, you know, medical, and, you know, we were 10 years old. And it was just like, what? You know, it was the longest hour of the week. You know, it's like, wow. And then the rest of it, I think she was pretty worthless.
Well, they just don't give her much to do.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, she's kind of, that tends to happen, and when there's 3 companions, that somebody gets sort of shunted off. You know, they end up just sitting around in the TARDIS. Because it was really Ian and Barbara who were helping to drive the story, even more so than the Doctor in some ways.
Oh, very much so. And I liked both of them in this. The companions were awesome. And I've always liked Ian and Barbara. So, and it was neat to see that it wasn't Ian this being the one who defeated the villain. It was Barbara at the very end.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean,
they've always been 2 of my favorite companions in the entire run of Doctor Who. Vicky is, I don't know if it's because there's so many episodes missing with her, including her introduction. That entire series is missing. But yeah, she didn't really strike too much of anything memorable, because she was kind of like a replacement for Susan to try and have that younger character in there rather than just the authority figures.
Yeah, I did feel that she was an upgrade from Susan. So like if she's like, yeah, because this is really the first time a companion's been replaced, right, on the show.
Yes,
right.
So this is a first. I did feel like she was an upgrade from Susan, but I also felt like with her, I feel like they would get this character right much later on with Zoe, with the second Doctor. And I felt like almost that's what this was, like a precursor to that. And because she had some elements there where she was obviously from the future, she knew some stuff, but when it came down to, like you said, Mike, when it came down to trying to help or trying to do anything, she was useless. So I mean, the only thing I think in the whole storyline that she actually contributed that she did was she faked being unconscious during that one scene and helped the doctor out through it, and then that was it, you know.
Well, I know a lot of people who do that normally, so it's okay.
It's called work.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So, but then again, like it looked like this was only her second story, right?
Third, I think.
Third? Okay.
I don't know if she was in Planet. No, Planet of the Giants was still Susan. So it was then Then was Invasion of the Daleks, where Susan left, and I think then they meet Vicky. Then it's the Romans. So yeah, I think it's the third.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's still early for her. So I it's hard to tell sometimes with any new character, right off the bat, until they really, until the writers know how to write her and what to do with her and all that kind of stuff. So, but I mean, she didn't annoy me like some of the other companions have in the past. But yeah, I guess I just don't view her one way or another. She was there.
She was just kind of unnecessary. I mean, she just didn't add much to the story. I mean, I felt
No, she didn't.
About the Optera, the ones that went underground, and the moth people that went underground and kind of devolved when the Animus started taking over. I didn't feel like they were necessary to the story. They were just kind of there. You could have,
I could see that.
Without them.
Yeah. By the time Ian meets up with this other race, this third race or whatever, I was like, yeah, this is we need to wrap this up. Where is this going?
Yeah, I know kind of the reason. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, just real quick. I guess they needed a reason for Ian to pop up at the end, but other than that, I didn't really see where. Like, I was like, is this really necessary? And plus, the people who were playing the Optera, yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably the one race that I was kind of most annoyed with. The voices and the costumes and the jumping around and everything. I was just like, yeah, this is a little too much.
No, agreed. The voices were tough, but I love the costume, so it didn't detract from me. I didn't mind that as much.
With the other races, I agree with you, but with the Optera, I was kind of like, I found it really difficult to understand them, yeah.
Of course, but I also thought it was really, really interesting that the ants' music, or like the way they communicated, was just all electronic music at the time.
While I was watching this, Michelle came out of the room that she was in, and she looked at the screen and she heard the ant noises, and she's like, "Yeah, that's annoying," and then she just left. And I'm like, I've been putting up with it for 6 episodes.
Now, I wonder if you guys noticed one of the most famous things out of this particular series. At one point, when one of the Zarbi comes running in, being chased by one of the Menoptera, you notice the camera kind of jiggles. Because the actor wearing the ant costume actually ran right into the video camera.
What? Well, that would have been easy to do in that costume.
Right.
You probably couldn't see anything.
Yeah, I'm not sure why the Menoptera also felt it necessary to, whenever the Zarbi showed up, to go, Zarbi! Zarbi! Yeah, we get it. It's Zarbi.
You heard them like cattle or pigs. Yeah, we get it.
Oh, wow, this is devolving real quick. Yeah. Did you think the episodes needed to be 6 though, for this storyline?
Nope.
No.
The very most 4.
Yeah, maybe 3.
Do I hear 2? 2? Anybody? 2?
No, I agree with 3.
It could have easily been a 3-parter. Yeah.
I would have liked to seen, although it's funny because even though it's 6 episodes, like I feel like there were some things that I wanted them to explore more. Like I really didn't feel like we got to know the Animus, the villain, right, of the piece.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't really, when it was defeated at the end, I really didn't feel a sense of like, woo, accomplishment or anything like that, because I couldn't get really any associated with her at all, like what was happening and what that was all about.
Well, you don't really get a backstory. You can't.
No, not at all.
No.
I mean, you kind of know that
disembodied voice most of the time.
You kind of know that they were doing their thing, and then all of a sudden, like this darkness, which I guess is the Animus, came to the planet and started doing stuff. I guess I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Started kind of building its own cocoon, and then from my understanding, it increased the magnetic pull, which ended up pulling all those moons towards the planet.
Yeah, there was just like, what?
Yeah, there's not a lot of science and a lot of old Doctor Who.
They were just making stuff up.
And exactly. And as soon as, she was destroyed, the water started coming back to the planet. It started flowing again. It's like, what?
I don't. Yeah.
Well, that's because the carcinome, which was the cocoon she was building, that was actually sucking up all the water from the planet. So as soon as she died, that started dying. So it started releasing the water that it actually contained in it.
Wow.
Eric E. Wincentsen, I paid attention to this story more award for the episode.
Is that in the book? Because wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of hinted at a point where, I remember. Was it Ian or Barbara? I think it was Ian when they're climbing out of the tunnel, encounters some actual water. Because at that point they're thinking that all liquid on the surface is acid.
That's true.
Yeah, and the water's flowing out of a breach in the carcinome.
Gotcha. That totally makes sense then. All right, you win. All right. Do we need to have any final thoughts, or are we ready to rate this one?
Well, my final thought on this is that we were talking about earlier, remaking some of this stuff. This is why I think that if they did want to remake it, they should remake it with all new actors and with modern technology, and maybe knock them down to 1.5 to 2 hour episodes on some of these old ones, because it would be nice to see this done with, not with CGI necessarily, but with modern costuming and prosthetics and everything, and see how this would run as a nice streamlined 1.5 to 2 hour episode.
Mm-hmm. I could see that. It was great though, because you got to see like a true alien species that were somewhat familiar, but to a larger scale, almost like when you had the Planet of the Giants storyline with early Doctor Who. This was, as the doctor said, they look like ants, but they're bigger. It's like, yes, it's the environment, how they evolved. It was pretty darn awesome.
I mean, I think actually there's the seeds of a good story here, but it needs a lot more editing. It definitely needs to be trimmed down. Like the evil actually reminds me of, if anybody's read A Wrinkle in Time, the sort of a disembodied brain who's the evil at the center of it. I mean, I think that's kind of what they were trying to do here, but they didn't, there's too much else going on, and they didn't really capture that, but they could have. I mean, I think it could be retooled. And
I definitely think that, if like Chibnall or anybody wanted to revisit this race or this planet again, it could be really fun. I mean, the idea of having a Doctor Who story set in a place where there's no humanoid figures, is amazing. And that is what I think the biggest thing that I took from this. Like, it is amazing. But I like at the end how the Vestrin or whoever, one of the aliens says to Ian, is like, will you ever return? He's like, nah, I don't think so.
We're done with this.
he just tells them straight up. He's like, I don't think so. He's like, you never know with the Doctor, but I doubt.
Not.
Oh, here's something. What was the thing with the Doctor's ring being able to control the ants?
and meaning so much to him that he needed it back. Because I was like, does he have like? This is the first time I've seen him have like some sort of sonic ring power.
Yeah, that was interesting because I know when he regenerated, he lost the ring. It fell off his hand. And so it's just interesting. That took me totally by surprise. I was just like, does the Doctor is able to control like a psychic power or something?
That part I was kind of wondering too, because they reversed the polarity of the gold or whatever he did. And
well done.
And all of a sudden can control with the ring, which I hate the word hand waving, but this was almost literal in this particular case. And all of a sudden can control gold or some sort of gold, anti-gold or something with the ring. And that gold's rather flexible, I noticed too.
Yes,
rather flexible and rather light for something along those lines. But yeah, I didn't understand exactly what he could do with the ring, and I don't remember if there's anything going on in the first Doctor episodes following that actually go back and mention anything with that ring again.
No, I don't remember anything.
That just
He really wants it back. I mean, it's not just he doesn't just trade it off and go, yeah, you can keep it. I mean, he's like, I want it back. Even to the alien at the end, he was just like, you're forgetting something. Yeah, I made my ring back. And the guy's like, oh, okay, I forgot. Sorry.
Yeah. But Ian doesn't get either his tie or his pen back.
No, he was pretty resentful about that.
Yeah, well, I would be too. My gold pen. Come on.
Just glad his pants didn't fall down during the story.
True.
That's true. All right, kids. Let's go ahead and rate this. 1 out of 5 TARDISes, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. All right, Eric, you go first. It was your choice.
Can we do halves?
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would say 3. I would say 3.5.
Okay, that's totally fair. Mary?
Yeah, I think a 3. I mean, there are some good parts of this, and I mean, it's almost worth watching just for the production alone. Is fun to watch, but the story is not great and very disjointed. So I think I'm only going to give it a 3.
Mikey?
I'm going to side with our guest and say 3.5. I think there was enough in here that I really enjoyed, and it was more than just if 3 is an average. Then this is a little bit better than an average, I think. Certainly, yes, it does go a little bit long, but I am impressed by the ambition of this as well.
Okay. I hate agreeing with you guys and everything. So I'm going to actually agree with Mary and go with a 3. It was entertaining. I think it was way too long, and that's what pulled it down from like a 3.5 or a 4. It could have been 2 episodes shorter very easily. But I enjoyed it. I like what they were trying to do. And, I want to try to get one of those really cool white jackets that, has oxygen for an hour. Yeah.
I love how in the first episode it didn't quite fit Ian, and the next time we see it, it's like a perfect fit. It's like, okay, that's a continuity error.
It's form-fitting, dude. Come on.
We also like to, I also like to think of these stories as whether or not they would be good episodes to introduce somebody to Doctor Who with. Not a chance.
No, definitely not.
Nope.
This is definitely one you watch if you're already a big fan, especially if you like some of the older, if you like the first 2 Doctors. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I would not approach like if they pulled this one off the shelf. I'd be like, oh, you're not ready for this one yet.
No. Put that back. Whatever you do, put it back.
Yeah. You can watch.
Yeah, put it back. Here's Spearhead from Space. Try this one.
Exactly. Well, it was good because I watched this one by myself. Judy was not home, and she said, "Oh, I missed Doctor Who." I said, "Yeah, you're okay with that. It's okay. It's really okay with that." So it was cool. So we definitely would love to hear from you guys at home, though. What did you guys think? Did you like it? Did you not? Please let us know. earthstationwho@esonetwork.com. Definitely let us know. We definitely would love just to hear from you guys. Quick shout out, congratulations to Mr. Mike and myself. We made it to episode 500 of Earth Station 1.
Yay!
Yay!
That's going to be going live this week. So It's hard to believe we actually, made it that long. Let's see if we can make it another 500 without killing each other. It'll be perfect.
It's amazing to think that sort of started off as, ESW really literally spun off of that, because we were reviewing Doctor Who stories for the first, 2 years? Year or two?
That's the first 2 years of the show. I think we made it to episode 100, and then we spun off this show from that. And it was me, you, and Phantom originally on the show.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It is. We've been doing this for quite some time, too. So it's pretty amazing what we've been doing and all the fun we've been having with it. And we've got 2 amazing co-hosts on it. And Eric, we also really appreciate you coming back and joining us with us.
Well, thank you very much. I enjoyed it quite a bit today.
And hopefully you'll come back sometime.
Oh, definitely.
Do you want to promote your stuff?
Yeah, I'll go ahead with that again. Vinyl Casserole every Sunday, 12 p.m. Pacific Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time on maxradio.ca. Expel Gray Matter for my movie blog. I publish once a week on that. El Camino is going to be reviewed this week.
Awesome.
So you just type in Expel Gray Matter, it'll come up. It's a blogger one. And then photography, you can see my photography at Flickr. You just type in my actual name. And Facebook and Twitter, of course, under my real name. YouTube channel under my real name as well.
Excellent. And you also do an ELO podcast.
That's correct. Face the Music comes out every Friday every Saturday, I should say, at midnight. Co-hosted with Eric Paul Johnson, who actually does all the work on it. So
you're just the celebrity voice. Got it.
Exactly.
That's cool. And I love that's how I discovered you guys, and it's been a great trip with you guys, and love listening each week.
Oh, thank you very much. We love doing it. It's it is a lot of fun going through all these.
Oh, I'm sure it is. And from the good stuff to the getting into the disco era.
I actually like some of the disco era.
Well, I can understand that. Just wait till Xanadu. Come
on. We're going through Xanadu right now, I still haven't watched it.
Oh,
I'm going to have to, unfortunately, at some point.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Well, yeah.
Well, it'll make your movie blog interesting too.
Yeah, well, it doesn't exactly fit my movie blog, which, I do a lot of violent stuff and everything, even though watching Xanadu might make me want to do violence, from what I understand.
So true. So true. Thank you, sir. Let me thank our regulars. Of course, Mary Ogle.
Thank you for having me. Always fun to talk Doctor Who with you guys.
Anything you want to promote?
You can find my artwork at maryogle.com or on Etsy at eVision Arts.
And Mr. Mike.
As always, it's my pleasure.
Anything you want to shout out about?
Well, obviously, thanks to you and everybody who has helped make our Station 1, the podcast, possible for all these years and episodes. We're getting ready to move on to the next season. So 501 is just around the corner.
So that's season 2?
That's season 2. We have really long seasons.
Wow. Awesome. God. So season 2 will go to episode 1000. Got it.
I don't know if people haven't listened to 500 yet. It does end on a cliffhanger. So
yes, exactly. Will they continue? Will they not? Will the comic shop explode or not?
Who lives? Who dies?
Exactly. It'd be very interesting. Maybe we'll regenerate.
Maybe.
You never know. Speaking of regenerations, we are going to look at the second Doctor, actually, next time on Earth Station Who. We are looking at the Macra Terror. That's right. The fully revitalized and animated.
Speaking of animation.
Exactly. We were talking about animation earlier. We get a full one next time, folks. And we are going to chat all about it. And it should be a ton of fun. For all our fans here in the United States, I hope you had a very nice Thanksgiving. And for, everyone who's probably listening to this right now, you're probably standing in line somewhere for Black Friday. So hopefully you're going to be enjoying all this kind of stuff. Until then, my name is Mike Faber, and we will see you here next time on the Earth Station Who podcast. Peace. And we are done. Boom.
You have been listening to Earth Station Who, a bi-weekly pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talent from across the universe. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individual and are used for entertainment value alone. You can subscribe to our podcast up on iTunes, Stitcher, or follow our blog at www.esopodcast.com. You can also follow us up on Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. If you enjoyed the show, please leave feedback up on iTunes.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping through Amazon.com or the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.